Hi YouTube, I wanted to make this video as a tribute to one of my favourite modern sculptors, Mark Richard Hall. He's an amazing artist who makes these little conkers out of bronze, and they're such good quality. And also what's great about them is because they've got so many spikes all over them, you can position them in lots of different ways. So they can look different on your mantelpiece, like from one week to the next, depending on how you position them. The other great thing is that the conker in the middle comes out, so you can kind of decide if you want to have the conker next to the shell or inside the shell like it is here. So I really love these, and it's such a nice little size as well. The only thing is that a conker of this size goes for sort of between £300 and £400, so it's quite an investment, but I treated myself to this one because I thought I'd love to have one of his pieces, and they're limited edition runs, and I think there's a good chance that actually they'll go up in price as well over the years because he's becoming more and more popular. The other thing is he makes lots of different conkers as well. So he's done some where you've got like the spikes going on the inside, some with like small conkers, some with like double conkers, all different shapes, and some really nice kind of artistic different ways of doing it basically. He also makes like things like cherries with long stalks, that sort of thing, and loads of other sculptures as well. And this is a very small one, so he's got ones that are much bigger as well, that are sort of a couple of £1,000, and then he's got really big ones that he does, I think, as one-offs. They're kind of museum pieces, and they are amazing. Yeah, he's got a studio called the Naughty Boy Studio, and I will add a link to that in my description so you can go and check him out. But what I wanted to do was have a go at making my own version of one of his conkers, just using something called Milliput, which is a two-part putty. So I made this one. I mean, it's a sort of a crude example, but it was a nice thing to do, as like I say, as a tribute to Mark Richard Hall. I made this much bigger one, and it's all Milliput, so it's quite heavy. I've got the conker in the middle again, and I can take the conker in and out. I tried to match all the colours as best I could to the colours that Mark Richard Hall uses. My spikes aren't as refined as his, they're not as pointy. I suppose at some point I'd like to go back and try and crisp up the points a little bit as well. So I ended up making this over a weekend, and I was actually quite pleased because I had the thought about making it, and then I just got on with it, and it seemed like I'd made it really quickly. You know what I mean? It seemed like I had the idea, and then suddenly I'd done it, I'd finished it. So I was really happy with how quick it kind of went. But what I did basically was I made the main conker first, the sort of the ball of the conker, and then I wrapped all of that with some just cling film. And while that was all kind of wrapped up, then I made the shell by pressing the Milliput around the ball of the conker, and that's why you've got this really nice kind of crinkled texture on the inside here, because that is the cling film, where I was able to kind of ease the ball out from the middle, and that obviously makes sure that it fits nice and snugly as well. And then I could just unwrap all the cling film from around it. You can see I put this kind of ridge around here to mimic the little dimple around the edge of this sort of light part of the conker. You can see I painted it all, and actually some of the acrylic has kind of come off here and there. So what I would like to do at some point is retouch it all so it's all perfectly painted again, and then spray lacquer it to protect it. Also the spray lacquer will obviously make it slightly shinier, and I think that will make it look more like the original Mark Richard Hall version. So obviously I made this just as a one-off piece, really, just to see if I could. Sometimes I like to challenge myself like that. If I find a particularly cool shaped thing, I just have to have a go at sculpting it. So obviously, yeah, it's a one-off, and I'm not going to be selling it or anything because that wouldn't be fair on Mark Richard Hall. It's more just for the challenge of doing it. So like I say, at some point I will refine the spikes a little bit more. I'll do that bit of painting, retouching, and I'll spray lacquer it just to kind of finish it off. But I'm really pleased with how this went. I wasn't even going to put it on YouTube at one point, but then I thought actually it's quite nice to be able to kind of do these little tributes to artists and people that you kind of admire. And if, you know, by me putting a link to his kind of website or anything, if that's going to help him get more views and more people, you know, checking him out, then that's good for him as well. Check out my other videos for other sculpts and things that I've made. I mostly make kind of movie creatures and things like that, but occasionally I do get the urge to make a little one-off thing like this. So I'd like to thank Milliput for sponsoring this channel. If you haven't tried Milliput, it's a two-part putty. You mix the two parts together and it starts to set rock hard in about 4 hours. It's really good stuff. I use it for most of my sculpting and model making, and if you haven't tried it, I recommend you go out and get yourself a pack, because I think you'll like it as much as I do. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out my other videos if you get a chance, and if you want to see all the sort of movie creatures and things that I've made. Hit subscribe to see anything that I make in the future, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.